Demonstrators are gathering in cities across the country as part of a series of March for Australia rallies, with protesters calling for a reduction in so-called mass immigration. It wasn't just the capital cities getting involved in today's anti-immigration rallies, as about 400 people attended the Caribou Sound Shell in Echuca in northern Victoria, with some travelling from as far away as Ballarat to take part in the March for Australia. Retired farmer and event organizer Colin Hosking said he had expected only 30 to 50 people to show up, while the federal government has condemned the rallies, and an ABC investigation identified links between the organizers and white nationalist views, though Mr. Hosking said he wasn't concerned. Echuca local James Jack said he decided to protest after becoming outraged about people burning the Australian flag, and Mr. Jack said he didn't believe what was happening in the U.S. regarding deportations and anti-immigration sentiment was relevant to today's event. The Adelaide rally has ended after an altercation between protesters, with organizers telling the ABC the National Socialist Network had not been invited to speak at the event. They attempted to stop the speech but were met with resistance, and police who were monitoring the rally stepped in to break up the scuffle as some protesters chanted, "Let him speak." Several directed their anger at police and the mainstream media, and the rally did not resume after that point. Member for Kennedy Bob Catter has fronted the Townsville rally, with Mr. Catter's electorate taking in parts of the city, and his words were well received by constituents. Bearing a Eureka flag, associated with a rebellion on the Victorian goldfields in the 1800s, Mr. Catter loosely quoted American founding father Thomas Jefferson. Victorian Police Minister Anthony Carbines has referred to anti-immigration protesters who seek to preach hate at today's rally as absolute grubs, and Mr. Carbines also called on demonstrators to show respect for police following the shooting deaths of 2 officers in regional Victoria this week. 2 opposing protests had to be separated by a line of police officers at the demonstration in Hobart, with roughly 300 people gathering on the Salamanca lawns to attend the Anti-Immigration March for Australia rally. As the March for Australia rally ended, attendees walked in a large group past the Parliament lawns, where similar-sized counter-protests had gathered for the Rally for Hope. The 2 groups began slinging insults at one another, and a large group of police quickly formed a line to separate the 2 groups, with the 2 groups chanting at one another, and "Migrants are welcome here" being a resounding chant from the counter-protesters, who were singing the Neighbours theme song. In Western Australia, a rally in Albany, on the state's south coast, has drawn low numbers, with 6 people gathering around a Eureka flag in the centre of town, while another 6 people gathered in opposition. Apart from some minimal interaction between the groups, the event proceeded without any further incident, while rallies in Perth and other parts of regional WA are expected to take place later in the day. Condemnation has flowed across the political spectrum today, with Labour and coalition frontbenchers both emphasising the presence of neo-Nazis as a particular source of concern. Labour Minister Murray Watt said they were about spreading hate, while a similar note was struck by James Patterson, and Sue Sanlay yesterday said Australians had a right to protest but cannot let hatred and fear tear at our social cohesion. At least 7 police horses and dozens of police officers have swarmed the Burke Street towards Victorian Parliament to break apart the March for Australia and pro-Palestine protesters, with a number of anti-immigration protesters breaching the barricade and approaching the pro-Palestine group from their side. Police have had to intervene after protesters clashed at the Adelaide rally, where the altercation broke out after a member of the National Socialist Network, who identified himself as Josh, took to the stage to call for an end to immigration. Organizers attempted to take the megaphone, claiming the comments were racist, but other members of National Socialist Network stepped in, and several protesters were involved in a scuffle before police stepped in to stop the rally. ABC News Verified this week examined links between the organizers of today's protests and white nationalist views, including their trafficking in conspiracy theories and promoting far-right and racist views online. The organizer of the NSW March, who goes by Beck Walker, has described the messaging behind the event, which he sums up as protect Australian heritage, culture, way of life, as a way to be more appealing to the public than jumping straight to messages like protect white heritage, which he insists means the same thing. One of the Victorian March's organizers, Hugo Lennon, has a history of promoting the Great Replacement theory, which contends white people are being deliberately replaced as a societal majority by immigrants. A senior Victoria-based figure in the neo-Nazi group National Socialist Network, NSN, has also claimed the group was asked to help organize the rallies, though other organizers deny this, and the ABC has found no evidence that the NSN was involved. Victoria police have arrested a man as a group of pro-Palestine protesters cornered a group of police officers in Melbourne CBD, with the arrested man and surrounding protesters continuing to chant "Refugees are welcome here. Nazis are not," as police led the man towards Beck Street Mall. Thousands are marching now from Belmore Park to Victoria Park outside the University of Sydney's quad as part of the March for Australia, with protesters saying they've had enough of mass migration. Save the nation, stop the invasion is one of the chants heard by the march leaders at the front and repeated by the crowds, while others say the march has nothing to do with race and is only aiming to slow down migration regardless of where it's coming from. A sign reading "White Unity at Every Opportunity" can be seen at the march. Anti-immigration protesters and a pro-Palestine rally have clashed in Melbourne CBD, with police using pepper spray on some of those involved. Hundreds of police blocked the groups from meeting on Swanston Street near Flinders Street Station, but members from both groups marched down other streets away from the blockade. It's understood the anti-immigration protesters were trying to get to State Parliament before converging with a weekly pro-Palestine march on the corner of Beck and Exhibition Streets. More violence has erupted in Melbourne CBD as March for Australia protesters and counter-protesters met on Bourke Street, with a woman appearing to be thrown to the ground in a frenzied brawl, as others nearby quickly joined the skirmish. Federal MP Bob Katter has addressed a March for Australia rally in Townsville, with Mr. Katter's son and Katter's Australian Party leader, Robbie Katter, also speaking.